Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall, where we throw ideas, see what sticks, and nurture those that do. I'm your host, Armando Leduc, an actor, entrepreneur, and coach, giving you insights that light up your world. We're here to explore the realms of business, marketing, and life, serving up a shot of inspiration with every episode. Ready to make ideas stick and grow them into something great? Let's dive in. Bang! Back with another one.
Here we are.
Hodge. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Let's pop in. Let's roll into the conversation. We're talking about how to make money. People want to know, how do we make money? I want to make $1 million question. I want to make more money, right?
Amen.
This is where we start. This is where I start with all of my coaching clients when day one, right? I have them run an assessment. Whether it's a DISC personality profile test, a working genius, a Kolbe, right? I have them run an assessment. Why do you think I have them run an assessment?
Well, they're going to be able to give you a lot of information to work off of, because the assessment is them giving you their frame of reference for what's going on, what they're doing right now, and also what they think the problems are. Which is, as anybody that's ever worked in sales, marketing, there's what we think the problems are and there's what the problems actually are. But the assessment at least gives you the jumping off point. You're like, okay, here's where their head is at. So that lets me know how I can help them.
Yep. Head trash. Everybody's rolling around with head trash.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's because they either are watching people on social media, comparing themselves to others, which is probably, this is happening rampant. And so they're comparing themselves to people that aren't even in their same personality type, right? And so what's happening is if you don't know yourself, right? Know thyself. Know what you like, what you're inclined to do. Because here's the thing, you're predictable. You are a predictable person.
More so than we want to believe.
I know we want to believe, we can change, and to a certain point we can. However, you're going to be who you are, and that's totally cool. Like, it's totally cool to be who you are. Everybody's living in this way now where it's like, oh, I got to be this person.
Yeah.
And because they're off track, right? Because they're not in line with who they are, and they're not in their own resonant frequency. And I've spoken about this before. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, if you haven't looked it up, look it up. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, they built it in Tacoma, Washington. And it was a suspension bridge.
Is it the famous black and white footage where it goes like this? Okay.
Yes. And so what they didn't realize is the bridge had a resonant frequency. And as the wind came through that little valley, it made that bridge do this, right? I mean, it's a wave, like water. Check it out.
Yep.
It's really, really cool.
It's a wild video if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. It is the reason why opera singers can hold up a glass, a wine glass, and sing at the frequency, and it shatters.
Yep.
So if that's true, if everything has a resonant frequency.
I've done whole speeches on resonance and how important it is.
100%. 100%. Right? So when we're not living in alignment, when we're living in dissonance, is because we're trying to be somebody that we're not. We're trying to be and trying to operate according to either what people want us to be, parents, teachers, coaches, whoever have like instilled in us what they want us to be like, not necessarily who we are.
Right.
And I had the biggest problem growing up living according to what people wanted me to be like. And I always felt weird and always felt out of place because I felt like I was living according to what everybody wanted me to do, right? And when I didn't, Armando's weird. What's wrong with Armando? Armando, there's something wrong with him. And it wasn't until I read a book called Driven by Dr. Doug Brackman, and I recommend everybody listen to it, right? I started reading this book, and it occurred to me that there's other people like me, other people that have thoughts and brainstorms and like a bunch of ideas. And like, that's the blessing that I have, right? And I think people are like, oh, that might be the curse. No, it's not. It's a blessing. It's all perspective. It's all about, oh, okay, this is the gifts that you were given.
Yeah.
Why are we not living according to the gifts that we were given?
Right.
And
Jeff Bezos would be miserable if he was trying to be an NBA player.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
100%. They talked about Rudy, right? And I hope everybody saw the movie Rudy.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember that.
What a complete waste of time. I mean, I love the movie.
Right.
Time for Rudy to be trying to be somebody he's not, to play what, 5 seconds or 10 seconds in in a playoff game, and we're all like, Rudy, and don't get me wrong, I love the movie. I love it.
Yeah.
Every time, right? Rudy. But what a waste of time. That dude was not living in his power. That dude was living according to what his dad wanted, how his family was living, how, you know what I mean? Like all of the things that were imposed onto him as what he thought was important, right? And so what are we doing? We're constantly living that way. So I always start with, who are we? What is it that we want? Cameron Herold, who I had on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, wrote a book called The Vivid Vision. If you haven't read The Vivid Vision, please read it, because it really talks about, where do I want to go? What do I want in my life? What do I want? Not necessarily what do I want because I saw somebody else have it, or what do I want because somebody is putting it into my head as to what I want. What do I really want?
Right. Mark Manson and the Dirty Jobs guy, Jeff Rowe, is that his name?
Yeah.
They've both been talking a lot recently and in the past about like what BS are you willing to deal with that most other people are not? And if you can find that, and that's just one example, it doesn't have to be that, but if you find that the BS you're willing to deal with that other people aren't, that's your superpower. And that's one example. But that's the thing, is like, everybody wants to be the big influencer. They want to be the hot, sexy, new thing, and that's not everybody's wheelhouse.
Everybody's wheelhouse. Now, look, there might be something that's attracting you to it, obviously, and the people that are in that spot love that spot, right? Like, it's just a super natural place to be. This is a supernatural place for me to live in. Took me a while to authentically get here. Took me a while to like step into my power and understand that this is something that I really like, and that I'm able to share my gifts, because I do have a lot of ideas, and what a great place to put that front and center. There are people out there that have amazing brains. They have amazing just ways of doing things, ways of looking at things, their perspective, the way they work, the way they approach something. So if we're super clear about what it is that we want, and we're living authentically ourselves, like super authentically, not halfway, like going all in. David Nagel, if you haven't, and I'll reference a bunch of people, but David Nagel, who was Bob Proctor's protege, he has a podcast called the Successful Mindset Podcast, but he talks about you got to go all in with the universe. You cannot negotiate with the universe. The universe, God, the universe, the powers that be, the force that you can pull from to get what, the energy that you need, will give you everything that you want in your life if you're clear about what it is that you want. But that's a problem. People can't show up in your life to give you the things that you want because you don't even know what that looks like, which goes back to the vivid vision.
Yeah.
It goes back to, what is it that we really want? Why do you want the thing that you want? Being super clear about what that looks like, creating a vision board, like doing that work ahead of time will help you shortcut that process. But people are just kind of running around, right? They're just running on a treadmill, not going really anywhere. They don't have any traction because they don't know what they want, or they're afraid of making the jump to want those things. Once again, the head trash, right?
Another big thing about overcoming head trash, or about getting yourself in the right headspace, is, and I don't think this is talked about nearly enough, but have you ever been like working out and you look in the mirror and you notice a little more definition, a little more muscle than you'd seen a few weeks before. And suddenly you're like, ooh, this is working. Oh, I'm ready to work twice as hard now. I'm ready. Yeah, let's do this. I'm seeing the results. And so when you make a decision of like, I'm going to go in this direction, this is what I want, then you start getting the small wins. And those wins are such a huge boost to our psyche that I don't think most people talk about, that you need to put yourself in a position to get those first few wins, even if they're small, even if it's incremental, get those wins. And when you taste that win, that's going to push you to be like, ooh, I like this. I want more of this.
100%. How do we get those wins? We don't know what we don't know, right? We learn in 4 phases. You have unconscious incompetence. This is where you don't know what you don't know because you haven't learned it yet. Then you have conscious incompetence. This is where you're aware of what you don't know. Then you have conscious competence. This is where you are aware and you're doing things correctly. You're still having to think about it. Still a little mechanical.
Yeah.
And then you have unconscious competence. This is where you're doing things second nature. You cannot skip through those phases. You just can't. You have to go through those things.
Robert Greene goes into that in Mastery. He doesn't use those exact terms, but he's saying very similar things, that you need your apprentice phase and you need to learn, but eventually you need to jump off the apprentice phase and go off on your own.
Yeah. And that's for me, that's the jump that every successful person has made, right? Into the unknown, into, they're going all in essentially.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't want the uncomfortableness of making that jump, right? So
yeah,
you can make that. And here's the deal. There's people out there that can help you with that jump, right? You don't have to make that jump by yourself, but you will have to make the decision to make that jump, right? To go all in.
Right.
But luckily, if you do, the universe will see that and they'll start working on giving you that stuff. They'll work on giving you that the people that you need in your life to make sure that you don't crash and burn. Or maybe you do crash and burn and you will learn from that. You will learn from that experience, right? Maybe you'll hit the wall and you're, holy crap, I didn't even realize that was there. But what an amazing learning experience.
Matthew Lesko writes about that in the Free Money to Build Your Dreams or whatever. It was the book in the early 2000s, but he talks about, he's like, no one remembers your failures like you do. So even though you had a business that crashed and burned, it's ingrained in your mind. Most people have already forgotten about it. So don't get too hung up on your failures, move on to the next thing, let that go behind you. Don't be afraid to try again, because like you said, most people have already forgotten about it. You're the only one that's still carrying that with you of like, I messed up, 100%. And here's the thing, if you did mess up, man, at least you tried. And that's so far ahead of what a lot of people are willing to do, is like, you put yourself out there, you gave it a shot. Maybe it didn't work. Cool. What didn't work about it?
Trying is learning. Trying is learning.
Yeah.
Right. Try it, learn it. Here's the deal. Once you've assessed yourself, whether you take a disc profile, DISC, Kolbe is another good one, KOLBE, and my favorite is the Working Genius. And so when you really know who you are, then you start to find the who's you need in order to take it to the next step, right? Because when you learn, and this is an entrepreneurial podcast, as an entrepreneur, we don't need to figure out the what. We've got to figure out the who. Every single time when I go into my leadership meetings on a weekly basis, any meeting that I have, any obstacle that I have in front of me, everything that I look at, I don't look at how do I get this fixed? How do I troubleshoot this process, right? Or this problem? I don't ever think that. You know what I think? Who do I need to find that is an expert at solving this problem?
Interesting.
That's it. All day, every day. All day, every day.
That's a very different mindset than what I'm hearing talked about elsewhere. I like that, though.
What are you hearing?
I mean, a lot of it is just, but I think the problem is a lot of these people that are being gurus online haven't necessarily walked through the paces, but they're just like, find your dream, chase your dream, do this thing, find this life hack in your brain, and but it's a lot of like do it all by yourself. And I think finding a team that you connect with, that having the right people around you empowers you to success in a way that, again, not a lot of people talk about. Like people joke around, I'm taking movies for a second, but people joke around about how Tim Burton would cast the same like 5 actors in all of his movies. It's like, well, that's because when you find a formula for success, when you find a group that you resonate with, and you're like, we're going to create magic whenever we get together, hell yeah, you're going to use those people again.
100%.
Why does one rock band tour the planet for 40 years straight and still sell out concerts? Because they found the right group.
You find the right, you find the right people, you find that harmony. The reason why we've been able to successfully grow as quickly as possible isn't because I am answering every question, isn't because I am doing everything in my business. It's just not possible to grow if you have the mindset that you are the only one that can solve that problem. If you have the mindset that you have all the answers and that you're going to solve every single problem, I can promise you right now, your growth is right here. You got a ceiling.
You're going to burn out.
The head trash. Yeah. That is the head trash that we keep putting out because we're verbalizing it. And take this and write this down. Your words are spells. What you speak, you become. What you speak, you think. What you think, you become. Yeah. All day, every day. So if you're constantly saying, oh, I'll handle that. I can do that. Don't worry. I got this. I got this. If you're always saying, I got this, and you're an entrepreneur, you're destined to fail in business because business is built with a team and systems, not on the back of the CEO, right? And there's too many business owners that start off in the technician seat, and that's great, right? You're great at what you do. Maybe you're a great videographer. Maybe you're a great attorney. Maybe you're a great, cybersecurity specialist, right? Like you're the guy and everybody's like, oh my God, I got to work with so-and-so. Yeah. Great. You've done cap at a certain point, you're capped. You can't take on any more people because it has to rely on you to get to the next level. Right. Now, if you can create systems, if you can create a business, and then you can be the CEO of your business, then you can start growing. Right. Because the people and the who's, not the how, is what's going to get you to the next level. But I go back to the very, very beginning of assessing who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know who you need to surround yourself with in order to grow. Right? Because I'm high on invention, according to the Working Genius, right? You have wonder. These people are great at asking questions. They're always analyzing. They're taking things apart, right? Those are the wonder people. Then you have invention people that are like, can solve that problem, right? They're the problem solvers. They're the idea people. Not all ideas are great though, right? Which comes into discerners, right? Your discernment people that are really good at not necessarily coming up with the problem, but seeing the flaws within the idea, right? They'll go, oh, maybe you hadn't really thought of this. Right. Or, that's where the SWOT analysis really comes in, right? Hell yeah, it breaks away from billable hour jail. Hell yeah. But a SWOT analysis, and if you've never done this, is strengths, opportunities, threats, and
opportunity, threat. Yeah. Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat.
Weaknesses. Yeah. So when you come up with these ideas, may not be the best ideas. You got your discernment people. Luckily, I have my discernment people around me because they're not all, going, oh, Armando's ideas are all amazing, right? They challenge me on my ideas, right? Which forces me in turn to justify why this is a good idea. And as I walk through that process and I justify the idea, then we come to a really good place where we're like, yes, that is a good idea because we really have thought about everything, right? Then goes into galvanizing. Galvanizers, which is another strength of mine, are the people that are like motivate, right? Hey, we have the idea. This is the marching orders. Let's get going. We can do this, guys. Awesome. Then you have enablement people that are like, hey, Tell me what to do. Don't ask me to think necessarily. If you tell me what to do, I don't need the spotlight. I'm going to go do it. But tell me what I need to do from A to Z, map it out for me, write it out, and I'll go do it. Right. And then tenacity are the people that are like, I have to get this across the finish line. So if you have the working genius of wonder and discernment, right, which some people do, right? They love to ask questions and they love to analyze. Here's the problem. They're never going to get past that because they don't have people around them that can take those ideas, galvanize them, and push them through and make sure that they get done. So they stay in this la-la land of wonder and discernment,
right?
And nothing ever gets done, right?
Yeah.
Then you have people that are high on tenacity and enablement, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, they're just going. They're just going. They're crossing things off their list.
Yeah.
They're making it happen. However, they're stagnant, right? Like they're never going to get past. They never have any innovation. There's nothing ever that comes in to transform the business. There's never ideas that come through, right? And they lack, and a lot of those businesses lack vision, right? Then you have visionaries that are idea people that are, me, ideas and galvanizing. I have ideas, and then I want to,
let's get everybody here and let's go. Yeah.
But here's the problem with people like me is that I'll have the idea, and then I will start. What's up, little one? It reminds me of that video of the guy doing the.
I'll come check it out. Yeah,
that's awesome. It reminds me of the interviewer. Remember? And then the kids were walking in the back and doing their thing.
And he comes to grab them.
Yeah, this is not that serious. This show is not that serious. We're not talking about war. So
thank goodness.
But yeah, I know. So problem with people like me is that I have an idea, I'll get super excited, I'll start it,
yeah,
and then it dies on the vine, right?
Yeah,
because I had the idea, but now I'm off to something else. So I have to surround myself with people that are high on enablement and high on tenacity. Yeah. The reason why my business is as successful as it is because my sister, who's going to be she's going to be with me for 4 years next Tuesday, she's high on tenacity. And she's high on discernment and making sure that like all of the T's get crossed and all the I's get dotted. So my ideas come in.
Right.
And she makes sure that they get across the finish line. The only reason, otherwise I would be sitting around coming up with ideas, starting them and never finishing them.
So how does somebody find their team?
So you got to figure out who you are first, right? And I know
get that strong assessment.
Get that strong assessment and realize who you are, right? Then you start to go into, okay, who are the people that I need around me in order to get this to the next level, right? These people aren't necessarily going to be your influencers on social media, right? These people are not necessarily loud and boisterous and, influencer types. These people are behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. LinkedIn's good for, to find people like that. Looking in other companies that are similar to yours, you know what I mean? That like, if you have a good culture, you can easily sway people into working with you, and we've done that several times. Putting it out there on social, on Facebook, asking for what you need. Say, hey guys, I'm a visionary. I'm working on this. I'm looking for somebody that's really good at just crossing T's and dotting I's. Mm-hmm. Looking for that person. And then here's the leap. Here we are. Here's the jump. Here's I'm going all in. How much are you going to pay? Do you believe in your idea? Do you believe in your business enough to go all in and come out of pocket and pay people to come and help you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. That is the moment that you will have to cross to, are you going to come out of pocket or will you go into debt to make sure that that your vision gets accomplished? I did. I made the jump. When I was getting mentorship from my mentor, who's charging me $2,500 a month, which is more than I had ever thought to pay anybody just for leadership and mentorship, right? But that's where I was. That's where I was stuck, right? That was my mindset. That I was like, oh, 2,500 is a cost. But when I switched and go, no, 2,500 is an investment because this person has a $40 million business.
And how much is that $2,500 a month paid off, over the last, 5-6 years?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because you don't know what you don't know, right? And there was a lot of blocked energy and a lot of blocked just energy, limiting beliefs, all of the head trash that I had as to why I couldn't be where I wanted to go, right? Or I would always have the voice or the inner critic in my head going, nope, that's not going to work out. Nope, this is not going to work out. Hi.
I'll come turn the TV on a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on. Now.
I'm working right now. I'll be out there in a little bit. Baby, I'm working.
I want it now.
I know you do.
No.
Go color for a little bit and I'll be right there.
No.
Audrey.
No.
Audrey.
No.
I need you to go. I'll be right back. I'll be right there.
No.
No. Go play for a little bit. I'll be there in like 30 minutes. One more episode of your show.
I had that yesterday.
It's not in there. It's not turning on.
Okay, I'll turn it on a little bit.
I was on a Zoom call yesterday and my little one was like, hey, you need to get off this Zoom call. And I was like, all right, I will. I promise. You just watch the TV. I'll be there in a moment. I promise. I get it.
The real boss. Yeah.
No, I get it. So yeah, man, look, people want to make money, but they don't want to do the work that's needed. And they don't want to have the courage enough to step and jump off where they need to go in order to reach that destination. And if you want to go to New York, you got to start, whether it's on foot, whether it's on a bike, whether it's on a bus or a car or a train or a plane. Like if you want to get to New York, you have to start the process.
Right.
Hoping and wishing is not a good strategy, right? And then sitting around going, well, why isn't this working? Well, then why isn't this working? Because you're not taking action. They're paralyzed.
Even as an author and an actor, I saw a huge difference with that of the people that were just kind of keeping their fingers crossed of like, man, nobody's bought my books. And it's like, okay, cool. What events have you been doing? What, organizations have you signed up with? What meet and greets? And they're like, what do you mean? It's like the work. I wrote the book. I'm done. It's like, no, that's 40% of it, maybe. And and as a writer, I know how much work you put into writing these books. I do. I'm not making light of it. But as an author, you've got to be getting yourself out there. You've got to be doing the network events, finding your people, finding your audience over and over again. And that's the same thing, all the events that you do, all the, podcasts and everything like that. It's continuously connecting with your audience.
Yeah. Here's the deal. And I've joined a lot of masterminds, right? And these masterminds are expensive, but you're surrounding yourself with people that have all made the jump. You're surrounding yourself with the people that have all sacrificed something in order to get to where they want to go. But if people are not willing to sacrifice something, they're not going to get there. You don't get there by hoping and wishing. You get there by making the sacrifice to say, hey, this is where I want to go, and this is how much I'm willing to give of my time. Because you either have sweat equity or you have actual equity. But you got to come. You're going to have to come out of pocket somehow.
Yeah, because you can't do anything.
You can't.
Otherwise, you'll never get anywhere.
So if you're stuck, and I'll make it a selfish consulting call for you, because I know we've discussed this several times with you, right? Is finding somebody that can be your assistant and free you from the everyday tasks that you have to do that take away energy from what you need to be doing and how you can be living in your zone of genius. And that's the biggest problem, right? That's why entrepreneurs are working 80, 90 hours a week, is because they, once again, they don't have the help, or they have the help. There's enough help out there. I promise you, there are people out there that want to help you.
Right.
You just have to pay them.
True.
That's it.
But also, and this will be a little bit of advice for me, and I'm not the first person to say this. Andrew and Alex Hermosi has said this too. Fire quickly. If you find yourself in a position where you're like, this relationship is not working and you are not doing the things that I need you to do and you're not going to be able to, then that's, move on. End that relationship and move on. Pull the Band-Aid off quickly.
Which is why I start with assessments, right?
Yeah.
I bring it back to assessments because it's really, if you understand who you have around you and you understand what their zones of genius are, then you can hire better and you won't have to fire as quickly. Right. Because the thing is, I have so many explanations and experience shares for me. My creative director, Will, who we met doing theater together, I wanted him to come in and be my COO, my chief operating officer. He had never done it before. He wanted to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't that guy, right? We did an assessment. We figured out that his zone of genius is customer facing. He's an influencer. He's an actor. He's out there. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to do that stuff. So operations and creating systems and all of that, like that wasn't him. No matter how much I wanted it for him and no matter how much he wanted it for himself, he just wasn't going to be that guy. Do I want to be the Saints quarterback right now? Hell yeah. And Saints, if you hear me, I want to be the Saints quarterback. Will they give me this job? Absolutely not. What are you saying? What are you talking about right now? Right? Like, of course not.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not my zone of genius.
Right.
It's just not. Right.
And so that takes a certain amount of honesty with yourself of what is your zone of genius and what isn't.
That if you understand these are not things, these are not your failures, these are not your weaknesses, right? If you're looking at it from that perspective, then yes, you're going to start it's a negative connotation. I'm saying focus on your strengths. Right? Focus on the things that it's not that you can't do those things, is that those things just drain your energy.
Right.
So why are you focusing on things like that are going to drain your energy when it really fulfills somebody else to do that?
Yeah.
Right. Like Melanie loves reading emails. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Yeah. I'm like, it's the last thing I want to do, but she's just like a machine. Boom. She loves crossing it off the list. She loves going through da-da-da-da-da. So if that's the case, then leave her doing her thing that she loves to do. And then I can stay over here doing my thing and we will grow together because she's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing. So if you guys are not hiring via some sort of assessment, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, and you'll have dissonance within your company because you'll go, shit, this person, they might be a culture fit, but they're really not doing the job that I want them to do. And I think that happens a lot of times in entrepreneurship, is that people want, because they like that person, that they're like, oh, I love that person being around, right? And especially if it's a person that has some of the same things that you do, some of the same strength. I love being around idea people, which is why I go to masterminds. Because
you and I in the first place,
Yeah, there are other people out there that love creating ideas, that love brainstorming. You get with them, and man, the amplification is tremendous.
Exciting.
But those two people together in business without enablement and discernment and tenacity and people that are actually getting those ideas across the finish line is a disaster. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
So you've got to find the right people, the who's not hows, right? Find the who's not hows, and then assess assess.
Is that already a
Because-
book? Who Not How?
The 6 type. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dan Martell wrote that book. Highly recommend that book. Who Not How. Right? Start paying people. Here's another thing. If you haven't started your entrepreneurial journey, or maybe you're in the beginning stages of your entrepreneurial journey and you're like, damn, I really want to grow my business, but I'm still the technician. I'm still doing everything. Right. I'll talk to the videographers out there because I was, a videographer for the longest. Right. Problem is, you're like, I have to shoot, then I have to edit, then I have to sell, then I have to do my finances, then I have to do invoicing, then I have to do accounts receivable, then I gotta do that, I gotta do that,
Yeah.
I gotta do that. You know what I mean? You don't have the energy nor the time.
No.
And so you've blocked your growth immediately because you in your head, you feel like you have to be the one. And it's like, oh, they just want me to do it. And be like, no, there's people out there that are amazing at that job. If you want that job, then go get a job, right? You make a lot. Here's the deal. You make a lot more money working for somebody else than being an entrepreneur. You will make a lot more money working for somebody else than being your own entrepreneur. If you don't want to be an entrepreneur, don't be an entrepreneur. Find the entrepreneurs that need you and then go work for them.
Yeah.
Or start to set yourself up as an entrepreneur, as a CEO of a company, so that you can step out of being the technician in your business and start being the visionary for your business. This is the only way you're going to grow. It's the only way you're going to get to where you want to go. If Zig Ziglar talked about it too, right? In the book, How to Be Successful. But if you help enough people get where they want to go, you'll get where you want to go.
Ooh, that's a good one. So speaking of helping people get where they want to go, let's talk about this content into clients.
So content into clients is my system on how I've been able to create content in volume using my podcasting, using social media, using client journey in order to get to how to scale my business, right? It's my system. And we talked about this too, right? I'm not selling Armando, I'm selling the system. Right. I'm selling, hey, if you implement this system into your business, this is what you're going to get.
Which is system A, you've used yourself, so you know it works. And B, you've already worked with a bunch of other clients and mastermind people that you've watched them implement the same system and watched it work for them.
All day, every day, right? Like it just, when you touch on something, and this is a beautiful, I love the segue here, right? Spaghetti on the Wall. The Spaghetti on the Wall podcast started because my approach to life is throwing spaghetti on the wall and not seeing what sticks, but nurturing what sticks, right? Because it's great to go, oh, hey, that's working over there. And then you're off to something else, right? Like, oh, that's great. Oh, that worked. That worked a little bit too, you know, and then you got a bunch of spaghetti on the wall and nothing's really going on. But if you see something sticks and you go, something about that, let's investigate. Why is that working? Mm-hmm. Is there data supporting why that works? Are there analytics? It worked for me. Great. Can it work for somebody else? Okay, great. It worked for somebody else. Oh, it's working for that person too. Okay. So now we have case studies surrounding what that is. Great. So now we have a result for the offer, right? If you don't have, and this is based on you having a good offer. If you don't have a good offer, shut your business down and go intern with somebody, go apprentice with somebody that is in your business and learn from that person and figure out why that person has become so successful. Because you're not going to grow a business with a shitty offer. It just doesn't happen. Just doesn't work. You don't have a sustainable business model. And people start a business because they're like, oh, I can start a business, but they have a bad product and then they wonder why they're not growing. So there's enough people, once again, assess yourself, know who you are. There's enough people out there that have it going that you can just hitch a ride on their train and just go with them. You don't have to create your own thing, right? There's money to be made helping somebody get to where they're going, right? And there's nothing wrong with that either. What's that?
There's a lot of businesses that's what they do. So, for instance, working in logistics, there's a lot of we call it core competencies. So, what are the things that you were good at, and what are the for instance, logistics. The reason why logistics exists as its own industry is because if you are running Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Budweiser, and you are, creating drinks or whatever, or you are running Amazon, you don't necessarily want to be managing your own fleet at the same time. So you start outsourcing. The bigger you get, the more you outsource. That way you focus in on your core competencies, so that you're not constantly being pulled away from what you do best. And you let other people do that for you.
And that's it.
And that's a huge, multi-billion-dollar industry of just helping other people get their stuff from one place to another.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
All day, every day. Guys, so in closing, because we're going to wrap it up here. If you haven't taken an assessment, look up Kolbe. They have the Kolbe assessment, Kolbe.
Mhm.
They have the DISC profile, DISC. And then they also have the Working Genius. I highly recommend that one. Read the book, though, The 6 Types of Working Genius. Super, super quick read, but so that you understand all of the personality types. And it's written in story form, so it's really easy to follow. Start there. Figure out who you are. Figure out what you love to do. Create a vivid vision. Figure out where you want to go. And then you can find the people that will help you get there. You can. It's not hard. They're out there. I promise you. They want to help you. They want to help you. And that's where you start. That's where you start, right? Even if you're in business, even if you've been in business for 5-10 years and you're going, man, I've hit a ceiling, man, I've hit a plateau. I can't get past 7 figures. I can't get past, 6 figures.
Right.
And you're just sitting there and you're taking hit after hit after hit after hit. This is your moment to step back, do an assessment, realize, okay, this is who I am. This is what I like to do. Create a vision for where you want to be, and then start finding the people around you that can help get you where you need to go. And hit me up. I can talk. On the next one, we can talk about how you can find people to help you without necessarily coming out of pocket. You can do it through sweat equity. You can do it through trade. I'm a big fan of trade. I do a lot on trade, right? My financial advisor's on trade. My business and tax attorney's on trade. My fractional CFO's on trade. My Bloom Growth coach is on trade. My intentionality coach is on trade. My Working Genius coach is on trade. Like, I got trade out the wazoo. It works.
Yeah.
It works. So you can find people to help you. You help them, they help you. You guys grow together. I took these 2 guys who had never met. They were both in San Diego, and I was mentoring them individually. And I was like, I don't understand why you guys haven't met. They came together. I started mentoring both of them. I think their highest month, they were making $1,500 a month in revenue. They're about to hit $100,000 a month in revenue within the next month or 2.
Wait,
and that's monthly recurring revenue.
From 1,500 to 100,000? Is that what you said?
Yes. Look them up. Louder Media in San Diego. Yeah. Because this shit works. This shit works if you implement. But those guys implement. They're not sitting around wondering, and they're going after it. They're making, and they call me up and they're like, hey, I have this problem. Try this. I'm doing this. Try that. It's not difficult if you understand how to play the game, and playing the game means creating relationships, finding the right people. It happens all day, every day. But we got to run because I've got a meeting. But I know you had something on your mind. You want to finish? Oh, you just went dark. I can't hear you. Nope. Can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Gideon. Guys, thanks for listening to Spaghetti on the Wall. We have just launched our coaching program called Content into Clients. If you are interested in coming to the mastermind, hit me up. It's every Tuesday. You'll get to meet some amazing people. You'll get some one-on-one time, and growth is just around the corner. You have to find the right relationships. So thanks for listening, and we'll see y'all next time.